Welcome to the new and improved Sundry Sports. We start with Cowboys Wire from somewhere. Trysten Hill's bad rap may be a bit premature, shouldn't be written off yet. There the Dallas Cowboys sat, lucked into the perfect scenario. No one in their right mind figured they'd be this fortunate when they came on. I think this is talking about the draft. I'm not sure why Trysten Hill has a bad rap. Let's check it out. When they came on the clock for the first time in the draft, the team sat back and let team after team make selections without making an attempt to move up, and now had a clear chance to boost their talent base with not just one player inexplicably sliding to them, but they had choice. As mock draft after mock draft played out in the weeks leading up to draft weekend, it was wholly inconceivable the Cowboys would ever be this fortunate. Inconceivable. Yet there they were, on the clock, ready to seize the gift handed to them by the football gods. Only the Cowboys zigged instead of zagged. Oh, you thought this was a retelling of how the club selected CeeDee Lamb? Silly rabbits. This is the tale of how just a year earlier, Dallas passed on the obvious choice of any of three safeties in Taylor Rapp, Nasir Adderley, or Juan Thornhill, and instead selected defensive tackle Trysten Hill. Okay. Entering the 2019 draft, the safety position was largely seen as the Achilles heel of the Dallas defense. The prior season had come to an inglorious end at the hands of the Los Angeles Rams' rushing attack in the division round. Lasting memories of strong safety Jeff Heath looking the wrong direction as Goff scrambled for the crucial third down conversion in the fourth quarter are etched in fans' cerebrals. In 2019, the 2019 draft was celebrated to have several safeties who could start immediately. But after trading their first-round pick mid-season for wide receiver Amari Cooper, most felt Dallas was too far back at number 58 to grab any of the top 6 prospects at the position. So when their time on the clock came and not one, not two, but 3 of them sat waiting, it felt like the jackpot to the fan base. Only Dallas didn't select any of them, despite a breakout season for Antwaun Woods, nose tackle. Nose tackle Antwaun Woods, big money and a couple years remaining in Tyrone Crawford, Malik Collins and free agent signings Christian Covington and Kerry Hyder, the club selected Hill. The fuse of the fans' short temper was lit before Hill ever donned the proverbial draft cap, and then he failed to change their minds. Hill's time at UCF. Drafted out of Central Florida, Hill had an interesting story that raised red flags in some quarters. Recruited as a 30 front nose tackle, Hill showed great promise as an 18-year-old, notching a sack and 5 TFLs in 9 games. Tackled for losses. 5 tackles for tackle for losses. He stepped that up to 2 sacks as a sophomore, but a coaching and scheme change moved him from budding prospect to a bench player. Coach Scott Frost moved him to the bench in a 40 front, and Hill started just 1 game, though he notched 3 sacks and 10.5 tackles for loss. There was plenty of discussion about Hill's reported attitude problem as the reason he landed in Frost's doghouse, but defensive coordinator Rod Marinelli spent extensive time researching with the young prospect pre-draft and convinced the team's brass he was a diamond in the rough. Marinelli, now in Las Vegas as the Raiders DL coach, also convinced the club to draft Taco Charlton, a player with apparent self-motivation issues who is now on his 3rd NFL team in 4 years, after being Dallas's first-round pick in 2017. He was really all in on Hill, too. Hill described his unique relationship with Marinelli at the 2019 draft class luncheon. Quote, leading up to the draft, he helped me with the whole process. You know, he was really that person I could talk to. Call on the phone. He'd call me, hey, how you doing? Who talked to you? He wanted to know the inside stuff, too, you know. With him, having him, you know, kind of watching over me and guide me through, it helped out tremendously. And when I was picked here, I mean, not a lot of people get to go to the team they want to, so it was a blessing. That's nice. Hill's first season and what's next? Hill couldn't crack the rotation, though, and was inactive the first 2 games of the season. He saw snaps in 4 of the next 5 contests and was generally ineffective, seeing his snaps decrease from 34 in Week 3 to just 13 in Week 7. He'd sit for several weeks before reemerging a bit, playing just 36 snaps from Week 12 on. He recorded just 4 tackles on the season, 2 quarterback hits, and no sacks. That's about as big a disappointment for a team's first pick in a draft as one can imagine. But all hope isn't lost, or at least it shouldn't be. First and foremost, Hill's extremely young, still the youngest member of Dallas's defensive line at just 22 years old. Both defensive linemen drafted in 2020, Oklahoma's Neville Gallimore is already 23, and Hill is 2 months behind Utah's Bradley Anae. Anaya? There was plenty of talk about Hill's skill set when he was drafted, but he left school a year early rather than spend another season in Frost's doghouse. If one views Hill as a draft pick who spent his senior season interning with an NFL club, gaining actual experience practicing against professionals, then the outlook on someone with his physical gifts warrant consideration as a redemption story. Like Gallimore, Hill's best trait is an insanely quick first step. If the rest of the package can come together, that elite trait is one that can be the basis of a solid NFL career. The media could not be played. Hill's quick first step jumps off the screen. Tough for a center to handle that kind of quickness / explosiveness off the snap. Hill can certainly penetrate and play in the backfield. I see that. After spending a year with Rod Marinelli, Hill will now work with defensive lineman wizard Jim Tomsula. The latter will be incorporating plenty of 30-front principles, which is where Hill showed a lot of promise at Central Florida. With a year of added strength and lowered expectations, he could surprise in 2020. Everyone wanted a safety, and then safety play in 2019 was underwhelming, further exacerbating the issue of Hill's selection and lack of contribution. With a gluttony of talent now ahead of him, starting with free agent signings Gerald McCoy and Dontari Poe, no one thinks Hill will be much of a contributor, and it could turn into the perfect opportunity for him. Cool. Cowboys news. No fan games could cripple Dallas's financials, Hill's second act. Trysten Hill had a hard time cracking the rotation last season as a rookie, but with Jim Tomsula on the staff and a year of something. What does that have to do with no fans and Dallas's financials? Cowboys news. Elliott helped force Goodell's hand. Gallup, Cooper, excellence shines through. The Dallas Cowboys continue their quest for a 6th Lombardi trophy this season. Today, take a look on wide receiver Michael Gallup, along with Amari Cooper. Stashed away in year 1, Cowboys defensive end Yelks, I'm assuming it's Yelks, could emerge in 2020. The Dallas Cowboys drafted 7 players and added 15 UDFAs in 2020 undrafted free agents. But 23-year-old second-year defensive end Jalen Yelks, is it Jelks? Jalen Jelks? That doesn't sound good. Will also be among those looking to impress. More headlines. Cowboys' Tyrone Crawford hasn't been run out of town, so he might as well ball. Cowboys' Elliott among black NFL stars in iconic video calling out league on police brutality response. Come on, guys. Cowboys news. McCarthy back in Dallas. Defensive line rotation a major puzzle. Dallas Cowboys face mask. NFL face masks are the perfect accessory for football fans. Where to get them? 6 Cowboys in danger of release due to COVID-19 impact on NFL. Prescott speaks out as Cowboys organization remains silent on George Floyd protests. Blah, 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 blah. USA Today. It's Cowboys Wire brought to you by USA Today Sports Media Group. Moving on from that, it's the ESPN